Hello everyone, Justin here, and today we are going to draw a duckling. So let's go ahead and start by drawing an extended U shape for the bill, and then at the top then another U, shallow U shape. And then if we step down a little bit from that corner, well, let's draw a couple lines going up that'll help guide us with where the eyes are going to go. Going off the bill, let's just draw this line up, a curve for the side of his face on either side, and then continue it over around the top of his head. So just like that. Okay, so these two lines then show us where to draw the eyes. So let's draw a couple eyes right underneath that line. So now what we can do is go ahead and kind of shade this bill a little bit, and I'm just gonna draw in a mid-tone first, and then I'm gonna go ahead and darken kind of the edges there at the top and by the side, just to give it a little bit of a gradient. Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and put in the little holes here for the nostrils. So now I'm actually gonna darken the eyes a little bit with my softer lead. So now what we're gonna do here is go ahead and start shading the face, and I'm gonna leave a little bit of a light space here right under the eye. But we can go ahead and darken the right side first and just give it a little bit of a darker tone. This chick or this duckling is yellow, so we're not gonna get too dark with our shading, but we still wanna give it some form. So here we'll go ahead and add some darker tones up here on the right side of his head, and I'm gonna try to keep my strokes to following the shape of the head and the shape, the direction that his feathers would be going, or here I'm drawing more distinct lines by adjusting the rotation of my pencil. So I'm just gonna add some lines here by the outline. And darken it just a little bit more. Okay, so what I did here, because my initial layout line here was a little bit dark, just because sometimes the camera doesn't pick up my line, it's hard to see, I went ahead and drew a dark line as well to try to cover that up, but kind of a squiggly line to show that the hair is not smooth. And I like the style anyway, where there's a distinct outline. And you'll notice in a lot of my other videos, I start with a marker and then I shade it in with a pencil. So kind of like the same idea. So let's go on. Right underneath here then will be this big oval, maybe 1.5 times bigger than the head. So let's just draw an oval here. That's for his chest, and then his body will actually slant a little bit towards the left. So from here, let's draw the curve of his back out this way, and his wing then will follow this curve and out like this. Okay, so then we can go ahead and with the chest section and his belly curving down a bit this way off to the left, and a little bit of a tail here. Alright, so now let's go ahead and do a little bit of shading again. So we'll kind of mark out this area as the wing and keep this a little bit lighter and give it some shading. So this back posterior section of his wing will be a little bit darker, and I'm going to try to keep my pencil strokes following the direction that the feathers would run. Okay, so right now his feathers are pretty fine and delicate kinda, so I'm going to use short pencil lines to do the shading and kind of try to give it a little bit of softness to the whole drawing, if I can. Maybe not, but we'll see. Try to hide that initial layout line there, and just keep going here where I'm going to have a gradient from dark here to a little bit lighter in this area. Okay, so because this is a yellow duckling, the lighter areas I'm just going to leave white, or the color of the paper, and base our gradients then, our shadows, our form shadows, based on that. So the darker tones won't be as dark as, say, if I was drawing an elephant, which is naturally darker, but just to give it a difference in the tonal values from the dark areas here to the light, if that makes any sense. Alright, so this whole bottom part will be kind of dark, so I'm just going to go ahead and start laying it down kind of quickly. Still trying to follow the curvature of the body and the feathers. And of course, just like up here on the head, the edge of this outline will be kind of rough, so I'm putting in some short lines here just to show that it's not like perfectly smooth, and maybe some short lines that's kind of perpendicular to our initial layout line. Some are more obvious than others, and make this part a little bit darker, going in a different direction to do a little bit of cross hatching. And right here is where the one leg is gonna start coming out. Alright, so a little bit of shadow right here under the wing just to kind of distinguish that area a little bit. Okay, and then there'll be some shadow underneath the head here, so I'll make that a little bit darker. Can't really get that dark with this, just using this 2B lead, so I'll probably switch over to my other pencil which has 4B lead just to add more contrast, because I really don't care for when a pencil drawing looks too flat. As much as I'm trying to add some form with some of this shading, I still prefer to have a nice contrast between the dark areas and the lighter areas. I know I just talked about this being a yellow bird and the tone should be all fairly light. Even so, I still want a nice gradient from the darkest darks to the lightest lights. So anyway, I'm babbling. I'm just gonna keep shading here, so really light pencil strokes right here, because this part's gonna be catching a lot of light. Okay, and a little bit darker here as we go down the chest and into the stomach area. Still using strokes that kind of follow the theoretical direction of the feathers or the contours of the body. Alright, so just to add more frizz to his hair here, to his back, I'm adding more short lines that are kind of going away from the edge because he is a little fuzzy, being a young duck. And same with his tail. So I'm just gonna kind of go out there in the air. And same here, I'm gonna reinforce what I did earlier and add more pencil lines that go away from the edge here. Alright, so all of that just kind of helps to make this drawing look a little bit fuzzier and cute or whatever, cuddly. Alright, so the one leg's gonna come down this way, and I'll just go ahead and start drawing that in. Kind of irregular shaped as a young duckling, and the foot then will go out this way. He's kind of duck-footed, I guess. Anyway, so I'm just outlining it right now. So this right here will be orange, and to indicate that it's a little bit darker, I'm going to make this darker. The shading here will be a little bit darker overall, and I'm not going to leave any white paper showing, but I'll still put some well-placed shadows just to give this some form, like the side of the foot right here, and shade this whole foot just like that, and maybe add a couple lines that kind of go down the middle. Alright, so then the other foot then will come off like right about here, and again I'm going to make it a little bit darker, and here you can see the back of his foot coming out a bit, and this is going to be quite a bit darker actually, so I'm going to switch over to my other pencil here to make this quite a bit, a lot more distinguishable from the front foot. Otherwise, you know, it's just going to blend in from the front foot to the back foot. So that's why I'm just kind of switching over to the darker pencil. So now it's very clear which one is which. Okay, continuing on to darken the back foot here. And it goes out kind of farish, and maybe show the separation of the webbed toes, just like that. And I'm gonna add a little bit darker tones here also to the front foot, and maybe here, give it more of an outline, and darken the cast shadow under here, under the body. Okay, and maybe darken the darkest darks here, which is under his belly, using this pencil. Also, so that there isn't a really stark difference between this part, this foot, and the dark part of his body. It has to kind of blend in a little bit so that it doesn't look like you have a duck drawing and then these feet that are just coming off, or legs. So you want to try to tie it all together with the technique that you're using. Alright, so like right here, I'm going to go ahead and darken this a little bit more under the chest, under the head and chin, under the bill, because I couldn't get it quite dark enough, that as dark as I wanted to, using the 2B pencil. So I don't know if I mentioned it yet, but this is a 4B lead. The lead in this is 4B. I thought of getting a 6B lead, but this particular lead tends to break quite a bit easier than the 2B already. So using 6B, I think I would just make the problem worse. Alright, so I'm just gonna reinforce the outline, which I mentioned before, just so I have a nice contrast, a nice gradient from the darkest darks to the lightest areas, and maybe add more shadow right here as well. Okay, I'm not going for perfection here as far as my shading, otherwise I'd take much longer to do this drawing. Alright, maybe a little bit more dark tones right here. And we should pretty much be done. This is a duckling done in pencil with some shading to give it a lot of form. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, please like, share, comment, tell me what you think of it, and subscribe. And hit that notification bell so you'll know when I upload again, which is pretty much every day for now. So thanks a lot for watching and have a great day. Bye.